Oh, did you say what time we adjourned?
She got it.
She did get it. Okay.
She got it.
Okay.
All right. Entertain a motion for us to return to regular session. I have a motion from Ms. Massey that we return to regular session. Do we have a second? Second. Have a second from Mr. Cathy. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We are back in session at
7:22.
7:22. All right, with that, I'm going to move down to speak out. All right. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes. All right. We'll entertain motions for the items that we just discussed.
I motion that we offer the position of city secretary to Chastity McKinney.
I second.
All right, we have a motion from Ms. Lane that we offer the city secretary position to Chastity, and we have a second for Mr. Caffey. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Looks like we're ready. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
I also motion that we offer her back pay for the amount of time that she worked in that position.
Okay. And Ms. Lane presides a motion that we offer her back pay for the time that she has served. Do we have a second? Have a second from Ms. Massey? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Outstanding. We have a city secretary. All right, I'm going to move down to, because our city attorney is going to have to leave at a particular time, I want to move to G, adjustments to the subdivision ordinance. All right, sir?
I don't guess there's anything in there. Here's what needs to happen. Our subdivision ordinance doesn't have any engineering standards in it. They're not in it. So what needs to happen? I need to get with,
Bob Fisher?
no. I can get with him. With,
Oh,
tell me his
Mr.
name and I'll remember it.
Morris.
Morris Swanky. We need to get those engineering standards put in our subdivision ordinance, so there's not this ambiguous, well, you need a 2-inch pipe, but a 4-inch, or we need a 6-inch, but a 2 will do. Because you know what developers will do? They'll say, hey, it's not a requirement. We're going to take the low end, the low pressure, the whole thing out. So that's what I need to do to get that fleshed out.
So you need instructions from the council and asking you to do that.
You need to tell Hamilton to do his job. Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't we also talk about a possible impact ordinance that you were going to talk to him
We
about?
did, and I'll put that down there too, because that will allow the city to charge some impact fees. So I'll put that down to Chastity, or remind me that I would say I'll do it.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to give Hamilton the go on adding what he needs to the subdivision ordinance as well as a possible impact ordinance.
We have a motion from Ms. Massey.
I'll second.
We have a second from Mr. Moon. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Then item H is McCraw's Chapel Waters, their water contract. And if you look at it, basically what has been recommended is that where we have been charging $3, we charge $3.20. Where we've charged $3.20, we $3.40, $3.40 to $3.60. We still have the amount of up to 3 million gallons, I think, a month, up to that amount.
Have you spoken with them about these price increases? Have you talked with them about the price
Yes, I
increase?
have talked with them and sent it. I've sent that, and I think Sarah did too.
We're very happy with
Okay.
There he is, right
Sorry
there.
about that.
Yeah,
And I know we've talked about it in the past, we just couldn't make the adjustment at the time because we were within contract. So I'll make a motion that we make those increases with those specific.
could I just say one thing before that? It looks like that in this contract, we began with July. I think you all have just read your water meters now.
I think Grove reads them on the 10th.
The 10th, okay. So is this date fine as far as time-wise? Okay, we're good then. Okay, go ahead with the motion, Ms. Massey.
I'll make a motion that we approve the increments of 320, 340, and 360 for the McCraw Chapel agreement.
All right, we have a motion that we go ahead and complete our agreement and the contract with this purchaser. All in favor? A second, I need a second. Second from Mr. Massey. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. So if you're happy, we're happy right now.
Thank you all very much.
Okay. Then J is amendment to the RV ordinance.
Yeah.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Requiring a certificate of occupancy for rental property.
So I said everybody, what I call a really rough draft, it really is, I've already caught one, or somebody caught one under the building official's definition. But what I really need is you to look at this thing substantively. And the second thing is, we adopted, back in 2020, Lee and I got together and went through the International Property Management Code, which is rental property, for 2006. And the city adopted a real skeleton view of that. And what I would suggest that we do is once we get this substantively worked out, instead of having two ordinances that disappear over here and there, we just amend that first ordinance and put this in it, so it's all in one spot. This will have everything to do with rental agreements in the city, and it'll be pretty easy to do. You just stick it in there. Let's look at section 3, which starts on the second page, and that would require anybody who rents property to register that on an annual basis with the city, so the city would know. And those fees in there are just arbitrary. I think it's $25, $50 for the first time you register it. But that means that every year, if you rent structures inside the city's going to know that's a rental structure. They're going to know that, and then it gives the city some inspection rights on that later on. So that was in there. Decide whether you like it or not. We can flesh that out at the workshop, and you can ask some questions about that. The other thing that we really talked about doing is section 4, which starts I think on the 4th page, and that establishes a certificate of occupancy for every rental unit. And what that means is every time a tenant moves into that, they have to get a certificate of occupancy from the city, which means it would be illegal for someone to live in one of those houses without a certificate of occupancy. And that certificate of occupancy changes with the tenant. So if a tenant moves out, the new guys have to get a new certificate of occupancy. And again, the city can go in there and make sure the place is livable. The plumbing works, the electricity works, and all those kind of things. And it gives you some leverage if people are just moving into houses without talking to renters. I think we're without talking to the owners. We're starting to see some of that. It gives a police department some sort of leverage to go in there and say, you're occupying this illegal. Makes the owner responsible too. So, and right now we do not have anything like this in any of our international codes. This would be something we have to adopt to get where we have a certificate of occupancy. If you build a structure and you move into it, or you build a commercial building, we have that, but there's nothing in there about rental property. Okay, anything else?
All right, would you all like to put this on the next workshop so that we can talk about it?
And
Have a
I
motion?
really ask you to read that substantively, and if you have an issue or talk to me about it, give me a call or send me an email. So, and I'll stick your comments in where they go and highlight it. And that way, when you get the draft at the workshop, it'll have, here's what the original looked like, and here are the comments on it, okay?
All right, give me a motion to take it to the workshop, please.
A motion that we take the
Okay,
certificate of occupancy for rental properties to the workshop.
we have a motion from Ms. Lane, we have a second from Mr. Moon, all in favor? Motion carries. All right, let's go ahead and talk about back up to F, which is removing Sarah Young from the Fannin County Water Supply Agency and nominating Justin Simmons. Justin has agreed to do this, and so this is just a matter of council taking action. Part of removing Sarah is the other issues that Sarah's dealing with. She has asked to be removed. So, thank you. Thank
What
you, sir.
responsibilities does this particular position entail, just out of curiosity?
It's basically attending this meeting that with a group that's talking about water in the county, and they meet, I think, monthly, quarterly, something like that. We used to have Walter Don Brown was our representative for years, and of course, when we had COVID, they stopped meeting, and then they came back together. And Sarah has been going to that meeting for us. And Justin went with her the last meeting. So
I motion that we remove Sarah Young from the Fannin County Water Supply Agency and nominate Justin Simmons to replace her.
we have a motion from Ms. Lane that we remove Sarah and add Justin. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Massey. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. All right, that brings us down to J, amendment to the RV ordinance. Comments, discussion?
This is going to be moved back to the workshop, so we can
Take
decide
it to the
how many
workshop.
days that y'all are going to approve it for again. And then approve it in August or whatever.
Of the workshop. Yeah, what do you want to do? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. If you want to look this over again, we can take it to the workshop.
I'll make a motion that we take this to the workshop.
Okay, we have a motion to take this to the workshop. Do we have a second? Second from Mr. Massey. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. The next item has to do with the furniture and the materials that we took action to move to the library, if the library would accept those. And I've had a call from Missy Sherwood, and it is the feeling of, for a number of reasons, that they would like to decline that offer. And so they are asking that we not move the items to the library. So that issue is not an issue. The next is L, fencing around the Markham building to be able to open the streets. Let me just say a couple of things, and I don't disagree. We need to open the street down there. I will tell you that 2 weeks ago we had an individual who came to Honey Grove to look at property and looked at Millie's property down here, and looked at several other pieces of property, and was interested in looking at the Markham building. And so she did not go into the building that day, but she came back. and asked that it be open for her to go in and look. And she came with another individual who was supposedly one of her investors. And so she is scheduled to come back this week to meet with Jeff Sava to talk about the building. So we have someone who may be interested in making a proposal to us. But with that said, we still have the issue of trying to open the streets. And so I'll open the meeting for discussion with the fencing. I'm assuming what you're looking at is just the sidewalk,
Just
that area.
Just to the front of the building over and all the way down the sidewalk to the back of the building.
Okay, so closing off the front of the
No,
building?
just where
just
the
sidewalk.
stairs is.
Yeah,
In front of the stairs, over, down the road, and to the back.
okay. And are you suggesting that we take bids to put that up or to rent the fencing?
Now, this is like panels.
Panels?
Yeah, they're 6 foot tall, 10 foot long.
Yeah.
So we would buy those, is that?
Yes, and
We
then
would
we
have
can
them-
reuse them if we need them somewhere else.
Yeah. Do we have a place to put those in the future, where we can store them at the yard and get them out for Davy Crockett Day or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, they'd be good, like from Davy Crockett Day, if you wanted to block off the square on certain spots.
I think it would help too, keeping the people off of the staircase.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like to use that for pictures, but right now it's such a liability that I think blocking that off for the staircase would be a good idea. I know it's not on the agenda, as I know this says the Markham Building, but I'm not sure that it's something we shouldn't consider for the 6th Street properties that have fallen as well.
I mean, I agree,
Order enough nets
if
for
we
those.
can.
We can order panels and put them where we want to.
Yes, they're not stationary, so they'd have a plate on the bottom where you could put panel to panel.
Yeah.
And you'd have to attach them at the
Yeah.
top.
I think that
And
must
they
be-
don't weigh that much.
I think that's what Legacy Bank must have over there, is that sort of paneling around their property at this point.
They use it around a lot of places that's doing construction.
So,
How
So-
many will we be looking at getting?
It would take 17 panels to do what we want, or do what needs to be done down there.
do you know what they cost?
Yeah,
Well, we got one deal that's like $168.93 a piece. It's in your,
Yeah.
you can see the picture of it.
Right.
What is that for?
And I don't think.
That is another deal that you can get them for 112, or you can get them lower than that. You can get them for 89.75, but you gotta buy like 100. You gotta buy them all.
So that's bum one setting basically is what that is.
Right.
Okay.
But this is the one that's, yeah, and you can even get, these here, you can also get the material to put up to where you can actually block any view.
Oh, like the snow
Like
fence
the
or whatever?
ladder fabrics.
No, it's like a fabric that mounts to it.
They have it at the school, around the field house. That's
Oh.
Sunny Road, but it would just
Yeah,
be
yeah.
the solid.
Yeah,
road.
where you just attach it and you can roll it out,
Have that.
then you can roll it back up.
I wasn't part of the initial decision to close off the street, so I don't know, how concerned are we about the liability of opening back up? That's my main concern.
But see, I mean,
I think the building's probably gonna fall in as the out, but I'm not an engineer, so.
I'm not either.
If we're just protecting debris from falling, then it's probably fine.
But from what you see, you know, everything's falling onto the sidewalk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But if we're gonna leave the road closed, then there should be no vehicles in there at all.
Yeah,
I'm
because
talking
they're
about like
parking.
parked there,
I agree, yeah.
I agree. And there's always one.
Then they
and
don't-
there's always a vehicle parked there. The other
That's-
day there's a boat.
that building won't have access to the entrance. I think the entrance is on that
No.
back side.
Do
Front-
what now?
The entrance to the upstairs on
Yeah.
that building is only on the back side, so they wouldn't have access to the building.
if we.
They'd have to park off the street in the back, I think.
There, to get to upstairs, they just have that original staircase
Yeah.
that's on the northwest corner, yeah, in there.
Could we-
Well,
they could park off
I
the
think
street.
that what's falling at this point, and there's nothing that says some more of the blocks couldn't be blown over. you know, we had the right kind of wind, that certainly could happen. But I think what's falling now, and Chief probably knows this better than I, are the more pebble sorts of things that are along the top that are falling down on the sidewalk. Yeah,
But if you look at it, most of it's falling on the
they're
sidewalk.
falling down on the sidewalk.
So
It's
I
not
know
falling
that,
out into the road.
No.
I know that we have the road blocked off, but ideally, like when I've painted around the square, just been around the square, I've seen a lot of foot traffic on that sidewalk. So I'm not sure that we can save anything from the street by opening it up, but we can at least block off that sidewalk to keep people off of the sidewalk, because there's more foot traffic than I think people actually driving around the barriers and everything
Yeah.
like that. So,
Yeah, and if somebody, of course, yeah, I agree. I don't have a problem with that at all.
I think anything to mitigate the liabilities, including
Yeah.
if this lady makes a proposal, we need to definitely consider it.
so is the, on the things that connect the fence together, like is this price included with those, or do you have to buy those separate?
No, I think they're separate.
Okay.
Them and the actual deals that connect them.
Okay. So even if we said like they went up to 200 with the connections that you have to have, that would be about $3,400 for the fencing to go around to cover the sidewalk. If we need 17 panels.
And you said 15 for Sixth Street? Is that what you said, 15? So that's about 5,500.
Okay? What would you all like to do?
Could we just make a motion possibly to go up to a certain amount of money and, you know, not spend over 5,500 or 6,000 or whatever for the extra parts that we may need and limit it some way?
Can we also make a motion that it's not necessarily for the Markham building, but
It's for any use, but
Yeah.
right at the moment for the Markham building.
yeah,
Yeah, because they can be placed wherever they need them once.
Oh,
they're
yeah,
ready.
once
wrong
once they do.
what are you
something.
groaning about, Lee?
Oh, I'm just saying, y'all talk about the market building.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we could buy them for the Markham building, but once it's done, we're
They're
use
not,
them wherever
they're not
we're not
designated
getting rid
solely
of them.
for the Markham building.
Primarily, what you're doing is for the Markham building, and if they're used somewhere else at some point, that's not an issue.
Okay,
But not the motion is about the Markham building.
gotcha.
So how much money do we need to probably?
It looks like if we did enough for the Markham building and potentially somewhere else, we would need about 6,500 if you ran it at
Is that what you
$200, and that's including
Okay.
some of the equipment. So if we say we don't go over 7,000 for equipment or for fencing materials, I think that would be a safe number.
We can just put it together ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
So, do I have a motion?
I'd even be willing to help with it.
So I'll make a motion that we approve a maximum of $7,000 for fencing materials to create a barricade around the Markham building.
Okay. We have a motion from Ms. Massey that we limit, not go over 7,000 for the purchase of the fencing that might be used at the Markham building. Do we have a second?
I'll
I have
second
a
it.
second from Ms. Lane. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Item M is accepting bids for the lot at 801 East Scott Street. The lot at 801 East Scott Street is on the corner of 12th, I believe, and Scott, and it joins your property. It has, if you look at the data that we have, it has gone on the sheriff's sale once. And normally when it's been on the sheriff's sale once, for the first time, you have to at least get the taxes. That's my understanding. The second time it goes on the sheriff's sale, you can sell it for whatever the amount is that's bid on it if you choose to. And so the question tonight is, does the city want to go out and just accept bids on that piece of property? The property is 9,000 square feet. It's valued at $19,440, and it lists as having an interest it says Honey Grove is the 100% ownership, but it also says Honey Grove, City of Honey Grove, Fannin County, and Honey Grove ISD. So, but it's valued at 1944. And so the question is, do we want to go into the business of offering this piece of property on a bid basis?
Will we have to include the county or the Honey Grove ISD in this process at all?
Say that again.
Does a school in the county have to be considered or consulted?
Well, I don't know. Do you know, Lee?
County's appraisal district lists the city of Honey Grove as the sole.
If that's all they have on it?
And that's what it shows on this page right here. It says ownership 100%.
Yeah.
It doesn't say.
It doesn't say that we are the stewards of this property. It says we're 100%. Let me do this. Let me check into this, and I'll find out if the city owns it outright.
Yeah, I'd hate to start accepting bids and then get kickback from,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm open to.
sure.
I just want to make sure that everything's
Sure.
clear first.
Let me find out for sure, and I'll call the chief appraiser over there, find out. So we'll put this on hold until we find out for sure. That brings us down to N, and let me tell you, today the Commissioners Court took this to Commissioners Court, and they approved the interlocal agreement. Judge has already signed it, and all that needs to happen is action on your part and for my signature, and the agreement is in place. And want to thank Mr. Cathy for having gone to Commissioner's Court and having been there and called me to let me know that it was on Commissioner's Court and that he pursued getting a copy of the signed document for it.
I wasn't actually there, but,
Okay.
and county judge took it and ran with it, so
Okay.
I don't know.
We won't give you credit for being there.
No.
Okay. All right.
Thanks for finding out.
I need a motion.
I motion that we accept the Fannin County interlocal agreement.
Have a
I'll
motion
second
we
that.
Have a second. We have a motion from Ms. Lane, a second from Mr. Moon, that we accept the interlocal agreement that has been signed by the judge. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. And with that, we are adjourned at what time?
7:49.
7:49. Thank you all for coming and your patience, all of you. Thank you for coming. We'll get there at some point. Thank you and congratulations.